Hey everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch project. It's March 29th, 11:10 p.m. where I am right now. And this is part 2 of my series that I'm working on. Overwatch project, learn superpowers in real life, psychokinesis and more. But in tonight's video, I'm going to be focusing on light versus dark forces versus good versus evil forces. And I also want to cover a little bit about Chapter 2 of Becoming Supernatural. I finished that today. It was an hour and 18 minutes. So let's get into it. Also, I have a playlist. In the description section of each one of these videos on Learn Superpowers in Real Life, there will be a link to the playlist so you can see all the other videos that are going to be posted here on this series. So I hope you'll check that out. Now, this is going to be a bit of a touchy subject because good versus evil. Some people don't even think there is such a thing as an objective good or evil. There's plenty of videos you can find on YouTube from philosophical points of view like this. This to me demonstrates just how crazy the human condition can be, where you can deny such obvious truths. But humans are capable of doing that all the time, through cognitive dissonance or other mechanisms of the brain. So you have light versus dark forces, which are not the same as good versus evil. So let me try to explain this. If you have start with something simple. If you have a hammer, you can use it to obviously as a tool. You can also use it as a weapon. Now, if you used it as a weapon, but you were doing that because somebody was attacking you, trying to harm you, and that was what you had available to you at the time, and it was an imminent threat to you and you had to stop it, that's completely different from in good versus evil versus somebody attacks somebody with a hammer for no reason, just to cause them harm. One would be an evil act. The other is a good or an act with good intentions. For humans, it all comes down to intentions. We're all conscious beings currently occupying the human condition. We have a different sentient level than the other life forms on the planet, although sometimes even they act outside of their norm. So if you have like a lion and you walk into its territory and the lion decides that you're lunch, that's not evil because the lion does what the lion does, same as a crocodile, an alligator, a shark. Pretty much people understand that a shark attacks you in the ocean. It's not being evil, it's just being a shark. Humans have a different... The human condition for consciousness is more connected to a God level consciousness. So we have the capacity to think outside the box, let's say. Although most people never think outside boxes. They're all trapped in boxes. So there's no difference really between witch's magic, prayer magic, while the religious person thinks that is attributed to something they're worshiping. It's really all the same. It's a projection of consciousness to affect the holographic universe here, causes changes to the reality for the good or for the bad. I mentioned in my last video that for the most part, if you're deeply involved in paying attention to like news media, and if you're watching entertainment without analyzing what they're trying to program you with, that you become a tool of the magic that helps control the planet here, the reality, this realm that we exist in. If you think about it, there's a big effort that's always been done to try to peg dark magic with evil magic, to try to conflate those two together. This is something that is done on purpose. And then if you read books about this stuff, or if you are involved in some religion, they have you compartmentalized in the religion. They have, like, say, in the Christian type, Judeo-Christian type religion, you have your God over here, and then you have your Satan over there. And then you have these two forces that have been chosen for you. It's kind of like a Hegelian dialectic. They want you in one of those two camps, and they don't want you to really understand what's really going on, which is there is no such thing as those two camps. Those two camps are like thought forms that have been created by believers, and they're quite real, but they are not, the core force is always like what you would, for lack of a better term, could be called magic, right? So, and I hope people are following along what I'm saying. This is very complicated to try to explain, but in this course of people that drift away from, say, dogmatic religion, they might go into other spiritualities like witchcraft and stuff like that. In these other spiritual beliefs, there is, of course, books and guides and gurus. And in all these religions, and in, say, outside religious stuff like traditional witchcraft, there is a push to make people think that dark magic is evil, and that is the same as evil, and that also they want you to think that this whole thing has like this threefold return. So if you push out like revenge magic on somebody, that it's going to come back to you threefold. I'm sure you've all heard of that trope. It's all tropes. It's all formulaic mind control is what it is. And I'm going to kind of make a proof argument that is going to be really quite difficult, I think, for anybody to beat. That I'm sure everybody has heard of the threefold, like if you do something, if you like project out negative energy to somebody or hex somebody, that it's going to somehow affect you 3 times worse when it comes back to you, etc., etc. This, of course, is complete bullshit. And the reason that it is because you can plainly see the psychos that run the show around here in this realm, and in the government, which is the word literally means mind control, governmental, to control the mind. You can see it in plain sight. How many times has a media source, or maybe they have a congressional hearing, and they have say these congressional hearings where they have people testifying under oath. They testify to all kinds of things that are plainly illegal. Nothing ever happens to them, or somebody gets exposed in the world of politics or in the world of entertainment that is exposed for doing something absolutely horrific. And except for a few token examples where they have to make an example of somebody, people constantly not only get away with stuff, they never ever get anything that comes back to them. And some of these people are clearly involved in using occult or magic in their practices. You've seen it come out. You've seen the symbolism all over the place. It's quite obvious what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing because they know it's not going to come back to them because it's just a tool. And as long as you can use the tool and get away with it, as long as nobody's going to come after you for it, there's no punishment going to come back to the person. In the world we live in, you can see this plain as day. This totally blows up the whole it's going to come back to you threefold thing. Because if it did work that way, then the people that run the show around here, the psychos, none of them would exist, right? How long could we have like 7,000 years of recorded history and a whole bunch of lost history before that? But for sure, in 7,000 years, there would be no tyrannies or no oppressive forces that would be running things on Earth if you put out, dark forces or dark magic, then it would come back to you threefold. That doesn't make any sense. We can see that it doesn't happen that way. Plenty of people get away with stuff constantly. Matter of fact, even on a lower level, where you work or in your school, you may know somebody that actually gets away with everything and they never get caught or punished for it, right? We have all seen that in normal life experience. But the so-called gurus, these people that somehow have this like guru status or guru license because they've written books or they have YouTube videos with impressive editing and stuff like that, they get to make all these pronouncements, and they even have like mystery schools that you can sign up for, or stuff that you pay for. You buy their books, etc., and they supposedly know what they're talking about, but when you analyze what they're actually teaching, it's a bunch of nonsense. So the difference between light and dark forces, for example, whether it's a magical tool that's being used, which has really great advantages, if you think about it, superpowers, supernatural powers, would enable somebody to operate in a manner that cannot be, say, how would I describe it? It can't really come back to you, right? Because let's say a person is violated in some way, and then they use magic instead of some other means to get justice, and then something happens to their violator, the criminal that did the violation. That means that they really can't legally come back to the person that created like a magic spell or something like that. It doesn't come back to them. There's no legal charge for attacking somebody with magic, right? Because as far as the legal system is concerned, it doesn't even exist. Our legal system is quite materialistic. But good versus evil is different. It is a definite thing that has to do with intention. Because of the sentient level of the human condition, humans can distinguish that good or evil act. Even if you want to pretend it doesn't exist, doesn't change the fact that deep down you know what it is. We all do. And so if someone were to use spiritual forces or supernatural forces for a purpose that is evil, then it's evil. And there may be some retribution for that if people understand how these things work. However, just because it's a dark force doesn't make it itself evil. Because, like I said, somebody could be doing it in self-defense. It's no different than any other device for self-defense or to get retribution on some evil act that was done to somebody, versus using the same tools to attack somebody or to rob somebody, etc. Right? So you can have any weapon, and its use is determined by the intention that it's being used for, not because it's a weapon. And I may have to make some more videos about light versus dark, good versus evil. I'm not sure I've explained it totally. It's very nuanced. What I'm trying to say here is quite nuanced, and it involves a lot of thinking on the totality of the information. There's no difference between a supernatural force that is, destructive or creative versus any other material tool or force that is destructive or creative. It's all about why it's being used to destroy or create, and the reasoning, the intention behind it. That's what makes it good or evil. I hope I've explained that. This is very complicated, and I'm not really sure I'm articulating it completely correctly. On to the learning superpowers in real life, Becoming Supernatural, Chapter 2, from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm going through this book first because it's very long. I'd say between 14 and 15 hours on Audible to listen to it. The Chapter 2 was like an hour and 18 minutes. I've found that people with degrees, they can really stretch out the information. I don't know if it's because they're taught that or because they have to write theses to get their degrees in college. I'm not really sure why that is. But it seems like the more degrees somebody has, or the more doctorates they have, the longer they like to write. Out of this hour and 18 minutes, which dealt mostly with meditation, had some really good explanations on how meditation can help you tap into this supernatural field that is kind of hidden from us while we're in the human form. It has approximately, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes of very useful information in about an hour and 18-minute listening time. And of course, that time changes if you're reading a paper book or this on Kindle or something. But there were quite a few good tips in there, good theoretical discussion about what he called the quantum field, which I think is, also referred to as the astral plane, spirit plane, the afterlife zone, lots of different names it goes by. But it's where our consciousness can exist free from the human condition, which is basically what Chapter 2 kind of brings into play here in this book. Now, in the playlist, in each video, I have show notes that I'm going to be modifying over time. So I'm trying to come up with as you see here on the screen, basically a source material for all you out there as you're doing your own research. So I'm maybe adding to this as we go on, but right now this is the list I have here. This will be on the bottom in the description section of each one of these videos, and it's in the playlist description as well. As you see here, I added it there too. So I hope that all helps out. And that's all I have for today. I'll see you all next time for more on this learn superpowers in real life. And we'll get into more telekinesis and electrokinesis and a bunch of other stuff as we progress through all this. But first, I gotta finish this book, Becoming Supernatural, and give you a rundown on that. That may take a little while, so maybe a bit before I post another video on this, but I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good day, good night, whenever you happen to be tuning into this. Bye.